I think it's fair to say that no one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie. And yet, Christian, you've seen the movie.
Is this the end of Rachel Zegler's career in Hollywood? It's still too early to tell if Zegler's Disney debut, the live-action version of 1937's Snow White, would be a complete failure or not. But with that disappointing debut opening weekend, a safe bet would be, yeah, it's going to be one of the biggest flops in Disney's history. Now, is that because of Zegler's performance, the CGI dwarves, Gal Gadot, or just about any of the many other reasons why Disney's been catching heat for Snow White? Honestly, it could be because of anything at this point.
I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean, Christian, you tell me.
But not if you asked Megyn Kelly. The political commentator knows exactly who to blame for the Snow White disaster. It's all on Zegler, and she's not shying away from telling the world why. Kelly had Link Lauren and Christian Toto on her podcast, The Megyn Kelly Show, to talk about it. So, Megyn Kelly doesn't like Rachel Zegler. This isn't new information. Kelly didn't hold back in November 2024 either when she called the young actor a pig. Back then, the discourse wasn't surrounding Snow White. That would have been overkill.
I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us toward a world I do not want to live in, leaning us toward a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in.
No, that was because Zegler had made a few choice remarks about Donald Trump, the freshly re-elected president of the United States. Zegler and Kelly are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, but that doesn't mean they can't be civil, right? The problem, in Kelly's eyes, was that Zegler didn't just let political differences slide. If anything, when Trump was declared the winner of the 2024 election, Zegler took to social media to claim that she was terrified of what America would be like for her daughter. For clarification, the actor does not have a kid. This was more of a what-if situation, and Zegler believed that Trump's America would be an unsafe place to raise her child, whenever she should have one. Still, not really something you'd call another person out for, right? Yeah, well, Zegler went deeper than just that.
Made Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Then she discusses the deep, deep sickness in this country. There is no help, no counsel in any of them.
In the next line, frustrated and all, the actor said that she wished Trump and his supporters never know peace. Yes, this wasn't a direct attack on Kelly, but she is a registered Republican voter, so maybe it was a direct attack on her. Who knows? The rebuttal on Zegler, yeah, that was as direct as it could have been, and since then, Kelly hasn't been on the Zegler fan train. Yet, when Snow White came out in March 2025, the political commentator went in with an open mind. Maybe, just maybe, despite her reservations about the lead star, the movie could be something great. Spoiler, Kelly was not amused one bit. This brings us up to speed, and now we move on to what was actually said during her podcast with Lauren and Toto. So, Kelly started off the conversation with a quick refresher on the Zegler-related controversies surrounding Snow White. Yes, these controversies were independent of her political views. Or maybe they weren't. You would have to be the judge of that. Rachel Zegler apparently hated everything about Snow White. Then why was she cast as the lead?
Oh my God, we're $242 million in, and our lead actress hates our film, our actors, our storyline.
Possibly one of the worst casting in Hollywood history. That was the tagline for several entertainment blogs that discussed Zegler's being cast as Snow White. Not to get it twisted, Zegler's a great actor, and that's something Kelly and Toto agreed on. The problem wasn't the fact that she couldn't act, it was the fact that Disney was trying to push an agenda by hiring her.
I wouldn't even recognize her on the street, so I find it hard to believe these kids are coming up and asking for selfies. This has to be set up. I wouldn't know her from Adam walking down the block.
Zegler came to prominence as Maria from Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Now, it was actually Spielberg who recommended Zegler for the role in the live-action film. Apparently, she had a glowing recommendation, and it was Steven Spielberg after all. But Zegler's casting was a lot like Halle Bailey for The Little Mermaid. Many accused Disney of trying to reinvent classics to push a woke agenda. In Zegler's case, it was a lot more complicated than just having a person of color play a white lead. Now, we had someone who hated the entire plot.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah. Kelly reminded everyone that the actor's gone on the record more than a few times to publicly call out Snow White. That's right, she doesn't believe that the storyline makes sense. Why are we glorifying a stalker? She says. Maybe because the person Zegler's calling a stalker here is the prince.
She's got to be front and center. We're going to push him to the side as much as possible. Oh, and by the way, he's pretty important to the story, so we'll drag him back in, then we'll push him back out. It's awkward.
Why is there even a prince in the first place? Yeah, so the many problems Zegler had with Snow White kept piling on. It was almost as if every interview she gave was to call out the character she was playing and not express her joy over it. Link Lauren said it best when he said that there'd be many actors in Hollywood who would thank their lucky stars for the casting. But Zegler just wasn't amused, until it was time to promote the film, of course. Kelly claimed that Zegler was being a hypocrite because she'd gotten into hot water with Disney. If there's one thing that a production house doesn't appreciate, it's losing out on billions. And Zegler's comments were almost guaranteeing that Snow White would be a flop, and this was several years before the film was even released. One thing was sure, she wasn't going to get a callback for the live-action role of Rapunzel or anything like that. Still, Disney just couldn't have Zegler bow out of promoting the movie.
Sleepy on the job. Also what Mark Webb used to say to me on set. All in a day's work.
This was when Kelly pulled up a clip on her podcast. It was of Zegler from a public event and screening of the new movie at Disney World. There, the actress claimed that she loved and adored Snow White, calling her heart her biggest superpower. To be fair, this wasn't the only time that Zegler has appreciated Snow White. Yes, despite having her qualms with the storyline, the one from 1937 by the way, Zegler had taken on a different approach in the days leading up to the release. Was this Zegler trying to save face with Disney? Kelly, Toto, and Lauren, all three of them, agreed. This seemed less like an attempt to actually resonate with her character and a lot more like a desperate last-ditch attempt to make the execs at Disney happy. But the damage had already been done.
Yeah, it's not a train wreck. I was expecting just that. And listen, it's not a great film. It's got its flaws. And this third act is completely rewritten to be more empowering. I think you know the drill.
Not only was Snow White panned from the get-go, but it was panned when it was released as well. This, admittedly, wasn't only because of Zegler. If you remember, Kelly actually said that the actor was pretty good in the movie. Toto agreed. She's someone who can act and sing. So what was the problem? Rachel Zegler's box office poison, according to Megyn Kelly. But it's not just because of Snow White bombing. Let's face facts for a moment here. This isn't just about Zegler having a bad movie. It's not that uncommon for Hollywood actors to put out a flop. It's also not that uncommon for actors to hate the project they're working on. Neither ideal, but neither anything too big to write home about. Kelly believes, though, that Zegler's case is unique. She believes that the actor has bitten off more than she can chew, as in, she's taken the star power she gained from West Side Story and let that get to her head. By the way, another thing that the commentator mentioned was that Zegler was burning bridges in Hollywood before she'd even gotten a chance to cross them. This was evidenced by the fact that Zegler called out the people behind West Side Story. No, Spielberg wasn't named in her comments, but Kelly believes without a doubt that Zegler had just called out the legendary director. What did she say? Well, the actor claimed to have had a racist experience on set, that the people in charge of the film asked her to seem more authentic when discussing her ethnicity. This was something that rubbed Rachel Zegler the wrong way, and she took to an interview to call out the big names on set, without, actually naming any names.
Not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, Cry Me a River? She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
Kelly believes that Zegler is box office poison. Not only did she set Snow White out to fail, but she never really gave the film a fighting chance at survival either. From the minute she was cast, Zegler had something negative to say about the storyline. Snow White was not a modern woman, according to Zegler, and Kelly argued that it was because the character was based on German folklore. Zegler bit off more than she could chew, and it seemed like she just kept making the situation worse, even when she was sent in for damage control and had a change of heart toward the character. In the end, Disney lost billions, and Zegler potentially lost any and all hopes of securing another major movie deal. Do you think this is the end of Rachel Zegler's career in Hollywood? Let us know what you think. And while you're here, make sure to check out our other video discussing the horrible things Ryan Reynolds did to Hugh Jackman. You don't want to miss it.